Welcome to episode 3 of Throwing Wrenches. I don't have my donut. I'm very sorry. I know people are disappointed. I ate them. Today we're going to be rescuing the CJ3A truck from my farm that has been, I don't know, dead for the last 2 years because I started a Jeep shop 10 years ago and I don't get to work on my own stuff. So, open it up and we're going to pull her out and I'll tell you a little bit more about her. This is a 1953 CJ3A that I rescued from Wisconsin. I saw it go up on E-Willie's one day. And what you'll see today is, you can already see the top's a little bit funny. A auto shop in Wisconsin took their 3A and they decided they needed a small truck. And what they did with this was they extended the frame, put a wooden flatbed on it, and then enclosed the cab using the back of a 1936 Ford panel delivery. Seats are even out of a Volkswagen. So when we talk about Bubba changing things, rebuilding things, etc. to keep stuff going, this is one of the ultimate Bubba vehicles. But it's really useful and it's a great little truck. And a couple of years ago it had a sort of catastrophic breakdown where fuel pump went, starter went, everything, of course at the end of my driveway in a snowstorm. And used the World War II Jeep to get him back in here, and he's been in here ever since. We've had him somewhat apart, and today the goal is to bring him back to life, get him on the road so we can start using him again. I would kill for one. You can take this one. Why? Why is it so hard? There we go. And we're at the winch. All that oil there?
Right.
Oh, jeez. Is because somebody didn't like the idea of, I guess, screwing down the valve cover. Ah! Going straight?
Probably gonna need a little bit.
Tiny.
Little.
Yeah.
Dude, this is tiny compared to my Jeep.
The guy who had it was like my height and I think fairly heavy, and he bought it at a yard sale. And he got it home and he goes, I can't fit in this thing. And I just looked at it, I was like, that's just too freaking cool. And somebody's going to take it apart for parts, and we need that not to happen because, yeah, it is tiny.
Yeah. It's cool though, man. Definitely different.
I've got wood sides for the bed that I'm going to redo. I think it'd be really cool to put a winch on the back and a little like tow hook.
Yeah.
I have never seen this much oil on an engine.
Well, I mean, it's not gonna rust.
And that's... Oh, disconnect. Damn it! Luckily they're labeled.
Yeah.
When I got this, and the oil pressure's fantastic, it's 60 pounds. But I was looking at the freaking engine, there's just oil everywhere. I was like, what the heck is going on? I went, these little nuts up here,
Yeah.
had never been tightened.
So it's just like
So,
puking.
for years, they didn't tighten the valve cover bolts, and it just covered itself. And I took, this is cleaned actually.
Right.
I spent a couple nights just with a scraper and cleaner and cans of cleaner. going through removing just layers and layers of this crud to go, oh, there's an engine under there, because it was literally just like a ball of grease when I got it.
Oh my god.
Is that a cake pan bolted to the hood?
I think
I
so.
think it's a cake pan.
I love cake.
Yeah, that's the
I think everybody knows I love it.
I have people look at it and they're like, the hell is that on the hood? I'm like, I think it's a cake pan. I think it's a baking pan that somebody flanged and bent up and
Right.
stuck to it. And just sort of went overboard because the carburetor only needs a little thing. But I mean, I've seen file cabinets welded to the hoods of these before.
It's
Right.
not a mailbox.
Yeah. Have you seen a mailbox?
It would be more fitting to have a mailbox in front of this thing.
Paper box for air scoop.
Yeah, and the fender, I remember, well, hell, when we took the fenders off, I can't remember why I took the fenders off at this point. They just deteriorated, so I finally had to go through all my piles and find a pair of fenders that I could fix
They're decent.
a little bit.
Yeah, they look good.
Because fenders at this point cost like $500 or something. And I'm like, I got piles of scrap fenders. I'm sure I can fix something for not $500. And you can see where the, that's just has no flange right
So you
there.
got a flex pipe for that, like well mine?
Yeah.
Is that what you got?
Yeah, let's get the box. We'll put it on the back here and take a look at what we got. What we got is a nice big box from Kaiser Willys of parts so we can fix this thing. Exhaust hangers, so I needed to change the exhaust over. Brakes are totally shot, so we have a new master brake cylinder. And yeah, I was using it for moving cords of wood.
Yeah, random axes and.
Yeah,
I know.
So I split it like a cord of wood and piled it on this thing.
I like the tail light.
Yeah, I got 2 vintage taillights to put on the back.
Dude, that's
They're
awesome.
completely mismatched, which will be cool for it. We're using, when Joe built up his CJ3A, he didn't use the original axles, but they have good brakes in them, so we're using his original axles from his CJ3A in this and putting a new master cylinder in that Kaiser Willys sent us. Starter broke its Bendix, so brand new Bendix for the starter, because it's nice when the starter actually engages the flywheel rather than sitting there going eh and spinning.
Really?
Yeah, I figured one of those starters might work. New U-bolts for the rear. And what we're doing is, this is a World War II style flex pipe for the exhaust. I find that the new exhausts, usually the downpipe is not bent in the correct direction. We waste a lot of time trying to bend them, fit them, heat them. I'm talking to you. What the hell are you doing? Sawing on my Jeep.
Not a saw.
I know. You're happy with that. They won't let you have those in the home, will they?
I can't have
They won't let me have sharp things. I can't even have a fork. So we're going to use this because the flex allows us to just adapt it to wherever the exhaust actually is. It gives us some more play. It's a little bit more expensive, but saves a huge amount of time and stress. We'll actually just cut it off down low. And
Jeep comes with its own letter.
oh yeah, I stuck that on it. So that's the basics, and this is our Christmas gift basically from Kaiser Willys. I asked them if they could get us what we needed for it and got this amazing box in the mail about 3 days later. So we're going to take all this stuff, put it on, get her running, I hope. Put the new rear axle in the back. We've got a little bit of welding to do in the rear to fix one of the spring shackles. And my hope and dream is that we'll actually be able to pull her out of here this afternoon, have her start and stop, which would just be great because then I can use her again. No, why won't it fit? I'm an idiot. Most of us who know Willys really well know that you've got a left thread and a right thread on the Jeep. So one side you have to, one side is unscrewing the opposite direction of what you're used to. However, I've had a lot of customers get their first Jeep, and I've had people contact me with their first Jeep, and I'll get this, the wheel lugs are jammed on, my mechanic says they have to be cut off. And I'll send a note back going, hey, have you tried turning them the opposite direction? And the next note I get is, oh, yeah, now they come off. So they say L on them. If they're L, they're the reverse of what you're used to. If they're R, they're what you're used to. So I just got to remember to set the gun a different way. And so what would normally be tightening on the L side is loosening. And I didn't reset the gun. One of the problems that you have is sometimes people will take the drums off these things and not pay attention when they put them back on. So some Jeeps, you really have to check and see what the thread says, because you may have a left thread here, a right thread on the front on the same side, and then God knows what on the other side, because they weren't paying attention. So you always got to read the studs. There's these starters. This is the, where's the busted one? The busted one's there. That's definitely busted. Look at that. That's...
Oh, yeah.
No bueno. He's not good. Bendix, when the engine spins out and grabs the flywheel. And then when the engine fires, that flings back. And the flywheel just spins. So, fire up the starter, that spins out, grabs the flywheel, engine fires off, that guy goes away. They're wonderful little things. So simple.
Quadratech sent me a 9,500 pound Quadratech series, the Q95i synthetic. Let me get it out of here. So it comes with a synthetic line, rock or tree guard, and it also comes with a fair lead. But for fair leads, I'll be using my Factor 55, the E fair lead, and a Factor 55 E flat link, or flat link A, with the rope guard on it. So that way if I bash into a rock or a tree, it'll destroy my rope. To mount it, because of clearance issues, I found some JK door nuts and some other random small JK nuts that will allow me to fit it into the worn winch plate, clear the front of the winch, and everything will mount in nice and tight and clean. Okay.
You're too fat, I can't get by you.
It's true, I am way too fat. So now I'm going to slide these little nuts in the bottom of the winch here. Most winches have come with steel lines. The steel rope is fine, it works great, but they're heavy, and try to reduce as much weight as you possibly can, especially with something like this only has like 60 horsepower. So I ordered the synthetic line winch from Quad, and this way it's lighter, it's also safer. When these snap, they don't really hold that much kinetic energy, so if it breaks, it just kind of falls to the ground. You still have to take all the same precautions when winching that you do with any other winch line, but a synthetic line is a little bit safer and it's a lot lighter, and it's just I think a better product. Almost. Gotcha. So now I'm hooking the ground up to the winch. So the hot lead's already on there. So now I'm just putting the ground on, running everything through the radiator, well, next to the radiator, through the grill, and then basically just spool it up in here and run to the battery. I'll put an inline fuse in at some point. I got the hot and the ground going through the grill in the little spot back here behind the marker lamp. For now, I'm just going to spool these up, just kind of wrap them up, and that way they'll fit back there nice and tight. And then I still have enough wire that later I can put a fuse in here, hook up to my fuse box, and keep it safe and clean. This way I can just hook it back up and I can actually, you know, drive home with it. There we go.
That I'm going to put the Bendix on, just in case we don't have time to get to that today. I did grab a couple other starters, one of which the wires are everything's coming apart on it. This one right here, I'm just going to double check it and basically do a quickie, simple bench test, which all you have to do, get your battery, get your jumper cables, jump to your stud there, and then let's see if she's good. That feels nice and strong. So if I don't have time to swap out the Bendix with everything that we're doing today, I am just going to pop this one right in. It's the exact same amount of teeth that match that flywheel. That's one thing you have to be careful of. I've seen a lot of people just pick up starters and show up with them and say, hey, I got a starter. And they either have the totally wrong starter that has like a lever operated Bendix in it or something, or they have a Bendix with more teeth, therefore it's for a different flywheel than their vehicle has. So when you're getting a starter, when you're working on a starter, make sure it matches your flywheel. Looks like we've got a good one to start with, and if I get a chance today, then we'll tear this one down, we'll put the new Bendix in it.
Right. That comes with its own workbench. Yep. Or we're out of air. Oh. Cut the U-bolts. So we got new ones, and I can't get the nuts off. So we're cutting them in half, and then I can get the rear out. All right, one side down.
So before I even try and start this thing, I'm going to try and straighten out a bunch of the really not good in here. One example of the not good is exposed wires. Really, that's we don't want those. And we've got exposed wire here, and then we also have wires going to the regulator that are shredded and exposed there. So I'm going to replace all these wires and actually lengthen them a little bit so I can put the regulator on the firewall right here. Oh, and we have this beautiful wire right here. So yeah, those are all getting replaced because that's like definition not good.
Hey Mike.
Hey, what?
Get on the other side there.
Okay.
Can you lift that drum up over that spring?
Sweet.
Rear axle out.
You okay?
Yeah, this shackle literally just came off. Okay.
Probably would help.
Shackle came off?
Oh yeah. Ready for it?
All right, what we're doing here is installing the new U-bolts, nuts and washers that we got from Kaiser Willys.
Look pretty sweet down there. It's all coming together real nice. Oh, hi, how you doing? You chubby. Sorry, throw you off.
Fat.
Whoa. All right, how we lock it? Oh, it's okay.
There we go, it's locked.
Okay.
To the coil. Okay, just turn the key, but don't start it. Wow, we're getting like 4.9 volts to the coil. Okay, try starting it now. Try again. Don't do anything. Okay. Hold on. Do it again.
Bingo.
Oh, yeah, it's coming out the top of the bowl there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we'll let it sit for a minute, and then I'll take a look at the pump bowl and see what's going on there. Hey, it runs.
It runs.
We got step one.
Yeah.
I'm repairing the threads that were smashed on the pinion. Run a die down it.
Do you have a new brake light switch?
Nice tight new bushings. Reverse.
Okay, so this is a new brake master cylinder with the banjo fitting for the brake lines, and this is the brake light switch. So we're replacing this. Kaiser Willie sent us all this to replace the old stuff that was completely useless. So now I'm getting ready to put it back in.
He's neutered now. Okay, so today we dragged my monstrosity out of the barn. Mike always calls his Jeep the hunk of junk, and you know, I sort of felt a need to beat him in the hunk of junk contest, and I think I accomplished that with the truck that a lot of my friends call Little Willie. He's a 50 CJ3A with a baking pan on the hood, as far as we can tell, and I used him on the farm until a couple years ago when he basically broke absolutely everything that he could think of other than his engine and transmission. So today what Mike and Joe and I did, and they were abducted by aliens. That's why they're not standing around me now. There was a lot of screaming, Mike going something about Mike going something about probes, and Joe complaining about nerds, and then they were gone. So we'll miss them. But what we got done today was Joe's CJ3B. When he built it, he went and removed basically everything original from it except for the body and designed his own drivetrain and frame. And that's how I met Joe, was he brought by the axles, the engine, all that sort of stuff. And the axles had good brakes in them. So a few weeks ago I put his CJ3B front axle in this. Today Joe and Mike got the CJ3B back axle in there. We got new Monroe shocks on it thanks to Kaiser Willys. Went through, worked on the starter, worked on the wiring, got in a nice exhaust line, and I'm just going to hang a World War II exhaust system in here. Got all the piping in now, and made some brake lines, and got her going, and took her out for a run. She sounds horrible, I think partially because she needs a muffler, and partially because she's running on 3-year-old gas right now, which just absolutely amazes me. But get some fresh gas in her, throw some seafoam in, which will clean it up. That's a neat thing whenever you have a vehicle that's been sitting for a while and nobody put any stabilizer in the gas. Seafoam is a great product that will, that mixed with some new gas will get you running fantastic. So just a little trick. And she's just about ready to go back out to the farm and start cleaning up the dead wood in the forest and hauling cords of wood again. So thanks for watching. Thanks to Kaiser Willys for the parts. Thanks for Quadratech for sponsoring, and thank you to all of our other sponsors. We'll see you next time. Fred. He brought so much joy and life to the show, and Chomp. You're just so happy about that.
I'm happy.
Wow.
Look how much joy he's bringing me.
5,000 calories of happiness and joy.